frostbite that night alone. It was the worst night of the season to be out in the elements, and that's when David Sharp was dying.
The media reacted swiftly to the news that David Sharp was left to die.
David Sharp, he ran into trouble on the mountain, and he is passed by a number of climbers.
40 other climbers passed by mountaineer David Sharp as he lay dying.
The reason David Sharp could not be rescued was because it was physically impossible to do so.
Lincoln and his Sherpas are making good progress. They reach the notorious second step. Shown here, it's a 150-foot vertical rock wall, the biggest obstacle of the climb. After 9 hours climbing, Lincoln and his 3 Sherpas approach the summit.
I could see the summit ahead. There were some prayer flags dangling over the very steep lip of the east face, and that was an indicator that was the summit. It was obvious that we were going to make it. There's a last little steep section to the summit, which is just how it should be, I guess. And the one last step, and I was on the top. There was no one else there. It was just an incredible privilege, I guess, to have it just to myself, the highest person on the planet. It was quite an unworldly feeling. It's not one of those, you know, punch the air type jubilation events. The tops of mountains aren't like that. You've got the whole rest of the mountain. It's only half time. You've got no locker room to go into, you know.
Back at base camp, Lincoln's old friend and 1984 expedition member, Mike Dillon, is the first to hear the news in the communications tent.
That day that Lincoln got to the summit really started well for us because I just happened to be near the radio room and I heard his voice.
This is Lincoln. We're on the summit. We're on the summit.
Monitoring progress 8,000 feet below is expedition leader Alex Abramov. These are the actual radio transmissions.
Oh, begin, go down, go down. Don't forget that you need go down. Descent is also important, over.
We know that, Chris. We know that, and thank you for making it possible for us, or for me. Thanks, Alex. Bye.
And he was totally lucid, he was calm, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning, and everything was fantastic.
His wife, Barbara, receives the good news.
The phone call came to say that Lincoln had summited and, you know, wasn't it fantastic? But I did have this inner reservation because I hadn't wanted to hear about the summit. I just wanted to hear when I knew he was down and safe.
Lincoln now has the most dangerous part of the climb ahead of him, the descent. 22 years after his first attempt, Lincoln Hall has reached the summit of Everest.
We had a good rest on the summit. We were there for 20 minutes, and that was really long enough because I feel very uncomfortable on a, you know, it might be a magnificent place, but on a high summit I feel uncomfortable. I know that it's a very dangerous place to be. I know how quickly time can pass, how you can be mesmerised by the view. So we headed down, the 3 Sherpas and I.
150 feet below, another member of Lincoln's expedition, Thomas Weber, is forced to turn around.
Very close to the summit, Thomas had to turn back because he was starting to lose his balance and sort of veer off. Some of his mental functions were beginning to not work properly, and at that point the guide decided that they should head on down.
After the adrenaline surge of summiting, climbers on descent face a bigger battle: total exhaustion and the threat of running out of oxygen.
The descent of any big mountain is always the most exhausting part of the climb. And so I wasn't surprised when I started to feel incredibly exhausted.
Lincoln doesn't know it, but he begins to suffer from high-altitude cerebral edema. Low pressure is forcing fluid to leak inside his brain, causing it to swell. Symptoms are lethargy, hallucinations, and irrational behavior. Lincoln must descend immediately, or he will die.
And I just developed this incredible lethargy, and I didn't see it as anything other than lethargy. I wasn't unconscious, but I just lost it.
But news of Lincoln's condition is yet to reach base camp, as the expedition leader is preoccupied with another unfolding tragedy. This urgent radio call is received from the climbers 150 feet below Lincoln. It is Thomas Weber's guide.
Tom's dead. Oh, for f***'s sake. Oh, no, you're sure he is dead. Oh. Oh, my God. He's halfway down the slope. It's a very dangerous place. He's stayed down in the snow for more than 5 minutes. He's not breathing. Over.
Okay, if you are sure he's dead, go down.
What apparently had happened was that Thomas had simply said to the guide, "I'm dying," and he died, just like that. Strange. He's had some premonition. It's just one of these strange things that happen on Everest.
Jeez, what a tragedy.
But the worst news was, out of the blue, the expedition leader who was monitoring the activities high on the mountain suddenly told Thomas's Sherpa to go up again to help Lincoln, and he was in trouble, that Lincoln was in trouble. First time we knew about it.
Harry, I don't know how you feel yourself, but now Lincoln is very bad, and if it's possible, send one Sherpa up to help Lincoln, because Lincoln is near the dead also, and take one Sherpa oxygen and go down.
Thomas's Sherpa, Pemba, begins to climb back up the mountain to where Lincoln is fighting for his life.
I was struggling, but the Sherpas were struggling more because they knew that if they didn't get me down, I would die. That's what happens with cerebral edema. And I was being so uncooperative. It would have been the worst day of their lives.
Back at Advanced Base Camp, Lincoln's friend and fellow climber, Kevin Augello, is manning the radio. Kevin came to Everest as part of a film crew, but was unable to acclimate. He remained at Advanced Base Camp to support the team. His video diary records what happens next.
With information from the Sherpas.